if you're not looking at selling any properties right now and you're looking at buying properties, okay, and maybe you feel a little uncomfortable with talking with sellers about seller financing, you don't know what to say, you don't know how to say it, right? You don't know how to overcome their objections, right? I got you guys. I got you. So you're going to freaking love this because this is some of the most common objections and questions that I've heard from sellers, okay? And really what I've done is I've almost kind of turned it around and put it into 12 questions. So really this is kind of 12 questions or 12 scenarios when it might make sense for a seller to sell on seller financing. Hey guys, welcome to the Creative Cash Flow Show. I'm your host, Jesse Mills, where I will bring you real estate secrets for achieving time and money freedom every week. Ladies and gentlemen, and one of my favorite strategies for creating cash flow, right, is to not have to go to the banks and use all of the crap they give me, right, and have to go through all the hoops and the hurdles, and it's a pain in the butt. It takes some time. Right? Blood samples, DNA, pee in the cup. It's nuts, right? Okay, maybe you don't have to do that, but it feels like that, doesn't it? It feels like it. It's a lot. So one of the things that I love is seller financing. Well, what is seller financing, Jesse? Seller financing or owner financing, okay, has a lot of different kind of terminology and spin-off names, but essentially what it is the seller is the bank. The seller is being the bank to you. And so when the seller is the bank, well, how much money down do you have to put down? It's whatever you negotiate. Well, what sort of interest rate do you get with a seller versus a bank? Whatever you negotiate, right? Well, do they do a 30-year mortgage? 20 years? Like, how long does this go for? Whatever you negotiate, okay? So the beautiful thing with seller financing is such a strategy that most people don't think about, they don't use. But it's great because you can truly create win-win deals with you and with the seller, but you have to know how. You have to know why is it a win-win deal for them, right? Now, I'm going to tell you some of the reasons it's a win for us if we are the ones buying on seller financing, okay? But what if you want to sell on seller financing? It might make sense for you to sell on seller financing, okay? Do I sell with seller financing? I sure do. Right? All the time? No, not all the time. Sometimes I don't want to. Sometimes I want to. It just depends on the situation. Okay. But do I want to buy on seller financing? Heck yeah, all the time. All right. So when you're listening to this episode, guys, I want you to think of a couple of things. Number one, if you've got a property to sell, might this be a strategy that you want to look at? So think about this from your own perspective. Put your own hat on as the seller of this property. Does this make sense for you? Okay. If it does, cool. If it doesn't, all good. Okay, but at least you know a little bit more than you did at the beginning of this, and maybe the next one makes sense. Okay, but if you're not looking at selling any properties right now and you're looking at buying properties, okay, and maybe you feel a little uncomfortable with talking with sellers about seller financing, you don't know what to say, you don't know how to say it, right? You don't know how to overcome their objections, right? I got you guys. I got you. So you're going to freaking love this because this is some of the most common objections and questions that I've heard from sellers, okay? And really what I've done is I've almost kind of turned it around and put it into 12 questions. So really this is kind of 12 questions or 12 scenarios when it might make sense for a seller to sell on seller financing, okay? Or owner financing. Now, of these 12 benefits or 12 reasons, okay, they don't always make sense for every seller in every situation. And so again, right, investing and properties and real estate is a numbers game, guys, right? You're not going to do one deal and then retire for the rest of your life, ever. So you're going to have to do lots. You're going to have to look at lots. You're going to have to talk with a lot of different people, and some will just be no. And you have to move on and go to the next, go to the next, go to the next, okay? And sometimes don't get all upset about it because maybe it just doesn't fit. Maybe it just doesn't fit, but perhaps it does fit. Maybe it fits really, really well. And you don't know what you're saying. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to answer their questions. You don't have the rebuttals. Okay. So I hope that this helps you to be more confident and ready and comfortable in those situations. Okay. So number one, guys, when might it make sense for a seller to sell on seller financing versus doing a traditional sale? Well, they want a higher sales price. Okay. They want a higher sales price. Most of the time, now again, keep in mind, if you're buying the house versus you're selling the house, you might come from this from two different angles, okay? And there is no right or wrong, right? It's the beauty of the free market and whatever makes sense. There is no right or wrong. I mean, as long as you're, of course, following the laws and rules and, being a good ethical, moral person. But typically on seller financing, the seller is going to get a higher price for their house, right? Because why would they take less money right now on seller financing than someone's going to just hand them over in a check and buy cash? Or, they're going to go get a bank mortgage and they're going to pay them off in 30 days with all their money. They're going to get all their money, right? So why are they going to want to wait longer to get paid? Well, if they're going to make more money, they will, right? Or they might. So oftentimes people who are very stuck on a certain sales price, they have a number in their head, whether that number makes sense or not, they might be more open to seller financing because they want the best price for their house. They don't need to get all the money now, okay? They want the best price. So number two, they want a quicker sale. Well, how does seller financing make it a quicker sale? Okay, well, I can tell you. So as of this recording, I'm looking at certain properties in certain parts of the country that have been on the market for 30 days, some of them 60 days, okay? And I will tell you that anyone who's new to the market for a couple of weeks, right, based on the average days on market, I could call any one of those sellers and say, hey, based on just the average days on market, you're probably not moving your property for another couple of weeks, few weeks, or a month, okay? But if you were open to seller financing, you might be able to move it a lot faster. And I might give you an offer today, tomorrow, right? So you have more options, and to do seller financing, you don't have to have bank qualified people, okay? So you have a bigger buyer pool, frankly. You have a bigger buyer pool of more buyers that might want your property, and it can get done faster because you're not going through a 30-day mortgage process, okay? Which leads me to number three, okay? Number three, they want a faster closing. Well, a faster closing, even if I am completely pre-approved, which, you should be 100% pre-approved, not pre-qualified, but pre-approved before you're looking at properties, okay? That's like, I always make the joke, it's like going in the grocery store, right? And getting your whole shopping cart filled to the brim with groceries, just filled to the brim, overflowing with groceries. And then you get to the checkout counter and you're like, oh, I don't have any money. I left my wallet or my purse at home. I don't have any money. Well, it's a little late, isn't it? Because you're in the checkout line, you got three people behind you. Now it's real weird, feels a little uncomfortable. Everyone's looking at you. You don't have the money to pay for the stuff that you said you can get and that you want, okay? That's the same thing. So you should be looking at houses unless you know how you can get those houses with, being pre-approved for a mortgage or cash or however you're going to do it, okay? So even if you've done the work to get pre-approved, right? And you're ready to go and you get your little pre-approval letter from your lender that says, you can get up to blank amount of dollars, right? Then it's another 30-day process, typically. 30 to maybe 45 is common, sometimes even 60 days, okay? But I would say on average 30 to 45 days for the financing to take place. Well, guess what? If you're buying something with seller financing, you're pretty much just doing the paperwork, which can get done in a day if you want it to, right? You're going and doing, title search and, the title company or attorney if you're an attorney state is helping you, that can get done in a matter of days. Now, they might not want to do it in days, but it can get done in days. But at the most, you're talking 5 days, right? 7 days. And then you line up closing. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, baby. It's great. So I've purchased homes in less than 2 weeks. I've purchased homes in less than a week. I purchased home in days when I've needed to, okay? On seller financing. If you're using a mortgage, even if you're ready, quote unquote, you've done all the pre-work, you're talking 30 to 45 days, okay? So number 4, guys. Number 4 is they are going to take the profit and invest it anyways. So if the seller is going to take the profit from selling their home and go put that into an investment. They're going to go put it in the market. They're going to go buy another piece of real estate with it. They're going to take it and invest it. Well, aren't you kind of giving them that opportunity right now via seller financing to already invest their money, frankly, with less work and less moving parts, less headache, right? Now, what are they going to put that money into? Let's say they have a $200,000 mortgage, okay? It's a $300,000 home, and take out the fees and stuff. Let's just make this real simple math, okay? Obviously, there's a little bit more to it, but they're going to get roughly 100 grand, right? There's closing costs and fees, but let's just say they get 100 grand, $300,000 house, $200,000 debt. They're going to get 100 grand. They're going to go put that into a CD, a certificate of deposit at the bank, paying 1.5%. Or 2.5%, right? Or they found this crazy, really good thing paying 4%. Ooh, okay. Well, if you can give them 4 or 5 or 6% on a note, seller financing to them, and the collateral is their own property, that if they had to take it back, they could take it back and then go sell it again and keep all your money. That's a good thing for them, right? They're making way more money, and it's backed by their own property that they know and understand, okay? Because it's theirs. So if they're going to take the money and go invest it anyways, this is something they say, well, hold on, maybe we can do the same thing, but just a different way. Okay. So number 5, when the home is vacant or they don't need it paid off in order to move to the next home. Okay. So guys, if you're in the trenches and you're out, looking at properties left and right, you're spending your days really digging into properties online and you're looking at stuff. Anything that you see is vacant, right? You should automatically be fired up. You should be fired up because it's vacant, which means they've already moved on or they never lived there in the first place, okay? It means the seller has moved on to the next home, which tells you one of the objections is already gone. It's already gone because they've moved on, okay? But the tough objection is when a seller says, hey, I get what you're saying, and I might even be open to doing this, or I've done this in the past, but I can't go buy my next house because I don't qualify for financing until I sell this house, either because my debt to income ratio or because I just don't have the money. Like I literally need my equity in this house in order to go buy the next house. If I can't get all of that, I'm trapped, I'm stuck, okay? Now, there's still some creative options around this, but just high level, that is one of the tougher objections to get across or get around. And sometimes you're stuck, okay? So if you're looking at a property and ain't nobody living there, that objection is gonzo, right? Because no one's there, okay? Or if they're, an out-of-state landlord or an absentee landlord, they're not there, doesn't matter, okay? Or maybe they did live there, but they already moved on. They're building a brand new home or they've already moved in, okay? So here's the thing. If they don't need it paid off, they don't have to pay off their mortgage. Now, some people want it paid off. I get it. They want their mortgage paid off, but if they don't have to because they're not stuck, okay, then this is a great possibility for you, all right? So if you see that it's vacant, you're awesome. Rock and roll. Now, I will say again, guys, there are some creative lending options as well that still allow you to qualify for a new loan and not paying off your old one. So that's what I'm saying. It doesn't mean it's a dead deal. If they are living in the home and they need to move to somewhere else, they can qualify oftentimes with the rental income that you're going to give them to help offset that mortgage payment so they can get to the next place, okay? So that still might be a possibility, all right? All right, number 6, guys, number 6, when the house is free and clear, ooh, I love those words. When the house is free and clear or has below market rate on their existing financing, okay? So if current interest rates are, let's say 6%, for example, and they've got a 3%, woo, this is someone you want to talk to, okay? This is definitely could be a great deal. Now, if you're buying it and the seller has a 3% interest rate and the going market rate is 6, okay? And the best thing you can get is 6, but maybe you're going to pay 7 or 8 because it's an investment property or there's higher, fees and points or your credit's not great, whatever, right? If you can use their 3%, holy cow, you're making a lot more money, or maybe it makes the deal a deal, whereas without it, it's not even a deal, okay? So that's something you definitely want to take a look at for sure. And that can be super, super, super helpful doing it that way, all right? If the purpose is to use it as an investment property, okay? So this is number 7, guys. If the purpose was to use it as investment property, and they plan on buying any more properties for investment purposes, that is a great lead to look at. All right. So that is a great lead. So think of it this way, guys. I'm talking about any landlord, anyone who was a landlord, bought it as an investment property. If they're a true landlord, this is great. I love this scenario because that means they understand the benefits of investing in real estate, but they also have probably dealt with some of the problems, right? The 3 T's, tenants, toilets, trash, right? They don't want to deal with that stuff. They don't want the headaches, but they do want the cash flow. They want the appreciation. They want the depreciation, right? They want the debt pay down. They want the tax advantage. They want all the good stuff, but they don't want the bad stuff. Well, if you can offer them to still give them the good stuff, but take away the bad stuff, they are going to be all ears, right? They'll be like, all right, cool. Tell me more. So again, if that was the purpose of them buying this property originally, was as an investment property, and if in your conversation with them, when you're basically doing, 90% listening and they're doing all the talking, and you discover they have other investment properties and they want to buy more investment properties, bingo, right? This is a thing that you should be paying close attention to. Okay. Now, number eight, if they face potentially a large tax bill by selling the property this year and they prefer to not have to deal with it right now, or they want to reduce that tax bill substantially. Okay. Now, this is where I have to throw in my little disclaimer. I am not an accountant. I'm not a tax advisor. I'm not giving you tax advice. But what I will say is, oftentimes with seller financing, there are ways that you can defer some of those big gains that someone might have to pay, spread those out, and that can make a substantial difference in someone's tax bill that year or for the next few years. Okay. So this is something where if they're going to sell and they're going to pay a bunch of tax on it, then this might be a huge win for you. Okay. This is one of the biggest reasons, guys, that people will listen up and will do this. Okay. So you have to make sure you're listening for those cues. All right. Number 9, when they want the benefits of an investment property, right? Cash flow, the debt pay down, the tax benefits, appreciation, right? But they don't want to deal with the headaches of being a landlord, right? The bad renters, fixing and repairing things. Renters often don't treat it like a home, right? They just treat it differently because it's not theirs. There's no skin in the game, right? They're unsure of the numbers. They don't know what they're going to get for rent, when this person leaves. They don't know who they're going to get, okay? So this is a little similar to the other one, but this really is for somebody who's like, yeah, I dig being an investor and I get investment real estate, but I just do not want to continue, dealing with renters, right? I don't want to deal with tenants. That's when you can say, okay, well, I'm not renting it from you, sir or ma'am. I'm actually buying it from you, and I will pay for all of the repairs, all of the maintenance. Okay, I'm paying for everything. I'm going to handle all of it. So I'm just going to take all the bad stuff off your plate. I'm just going to leave you with the good stuff. How does that sound? Okay. Now, number 10, if it was purchased as a short-term rental already or a vacation rental already, okay, so you're looking at a property that currently is a short-term rental or vacation home, or it was purchased that way, and the sellers are sick of the fluctuating revenue, right? They're sick of dealing with hundreds of different guests, basically playing it like they're a hotel, right? Fixing and repairing things all the time, replacing furniture, right? And they just want a fixed, consistent monthly payment that they can count on. They're like, hey, this month was great. We made some money, but this month, oh my God, we had to write a check and it sucked. And, we were down here so many times taking care of this thing, right? If they're burnt out of that because they're not cut out to be a short-term rental host, they just want a nice, even, fixed, easy peasy payment, and they want to move on. They want less headaches and hassles. This is a great opportunity for you. Okay. Great opportunity for you. Now, when they know that if they were to get the property back, guys, this is number 11. If they know they would get the property back and they were able to possibly resell it, okay, and in most cases make more money because the market's gone up, right? Or because you've improved the property, right? You've made the property better because of the local marketing conditions. If they know that, point it out to them, okay? Point it out to them. This is not something you keep as a secret. Point it out. I'll tell sellers, say, hey, I'm going to come in right away, ma'am, and I'm going to put money into the property. I'm going to update this. I'm going to make this newer, make this nicer, right? Because I want to make as much revenue as I can on this property. That's the whole goal. And so the more I make, the better for me, better for you. So I'm going to pay you on time every month. But God forbid something happens and I don't. If you get your property back and you keep all my money, guess what? It's going to be in better shape than when you gave it to me. So you're going to thank me for giving it back to you. Okay. So if you can get this across to them, they're going to love that. Okay. Now, number 12, and I put this as number 12 because if this is not you, if you're not in the position right now, or you have a hard time selling yourself to somebody, then this is, a little trickier thing. But if you can, then you're going to be good to go. Okay. So number 12 is if the sellers trust the buyer, AKA you, right? Or if you're in the situation, guys, if you're the seller, if you trust the buyer and you know the buyer's income, you know their credit, you know their assets, you've seen what's in the bank, right? And you know what the exit strategy is. The exit strategy, right? Why are they doing seller financing? Why are they not just writing a check with cash, which most people can't do? But why are they not going to the bank and getting a mortgage, right? Why are they doing it this way with you? Guys, this is what we do with our hybrid investing program. So our hybrid investing program, some of you know it as the slow flip, right? But hybrid investing, we're helping folks nationwide get into homes, either to live in as their main home, their primary residence, or even investment properties. We're helping them get in through a lease to own or seller financing, right? Through our program, because we want to take a chance on them. We know that there's something stopping them from getting financing, right? Maybe their credit scores need to go up a little bit, or they need to be at that job another year, or they missed a couple payments, but it was a one-off situation and they'll be great to go next year, right? We understand that there's a path to get from, where the bank is saying no to where the bank is going to say yes. And that just might be a year or two down the road. We'll take a chance on those folks. Okay. Now they might be paying a little bit more for the monthly payment, and they might be paying a little bit more for the price of the home. But what's the contrary? The contrary is they don't buy anything right now. The contrary is they miss a great opportunity, right? The contrary is they come back a year or two later and prices are way higher, or that property's gone, someone else has it, right? Or they've just wasted tens of thousands of dollars on rent in someone else's property that is just temporary and they're moving multiple times. That sucks. Who likes to do that, right? So this is what we do with our program, right? It's a very cool system. So if the sellers trust the buyer and they say, hey, I know all the good stuff, I just know right now this is the best way to do it, they might be keen to do this. And then again, if you're the seller, you're going to want to know this stuff, right? So you should be looking at their taxes or their W-2s. You should be looking at their pay stubs. You should be looking at their bank statements. You should be seeing, is the money theirs? Is it cash? Where did the money come from? Is it a loan, right? You got to play the bank if you're the seller. If you're the buyer, be ready to, talk about these things. And if you got some bad stuff going on, this is part of where you have to really make somebody feel comfortable. Yeah, I know I've got a 500 credit score, sir. But the reason for that is, right, I got COVID and I was out of work for 3 months, and holy cow. And then I got laid off, and then I lost my savings, but now I'm back on my feet, right? And I have a great job. And here's my boss's information, right? You got to sell yourself, right? Make the seller feel comfortable. Okay. But that's number 12, guys, is the seller will trust the buyer and they might know more about their income, asset, credit, and the strategy to pay them off. So I hope this helps. Okay. I hope this helps. When you're meeting with the seller, you can run through these, right? And if you want a PDF, a checklist PDF that you can actually go and present to sellers when you're with them, or just to make sure you're hitting all these, right? Hit me up anywhere on any of the socials at the Jesse Mills, okay? On Instagram, on Facebook, TikTok, right? LinkedIn at the Jesse Mills. Hit me up and ask for the seller financing checklist, right? And my team will take care of it. We'll get that out to you. All right. So I hope this helps, guys. Go out there, make some offers, go meet with some people. The more people you talk to, the more people you meet with, the more opportunities you have, right? You got to talk to people, and the more of it you do, the more chances you'll have at success. So thanks for being here. As always, I appreciate you. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this, please share this with somebody. Please subscribe, and please make sure that you are notified when we have new episodes coming out, because I want to really help you with all of your investing goals and just have that awesome lifestyle that you're knowing you're capable of. You know that is out there, and you just got to make some changes, right? And that's it. Just make some changes. Let's go all in and let's get it. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.